Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
What's happening right now with Bo Bichette could completely reshape his entire free agent market. And honestly, it might have just made the Blue Jays situation a whole lot more complicated. Because Bo just told teams he's willing to move to second base permanently, and that changes absolutely everything about which organizations are going to pursue him and how much money they're willing to spend. This is Blue Jays Nation News, where we break down every development that impacts Toronto's roster. And today, we're diving into why this position flexibility announcement matters way more than people realize. Smash that like button. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already. And turn on notifications because this free agency situation is about to heat up fast. Let's start with the reality everyone already knows. Bo Bichette's defensive metrics at shortstop have been problematic for years. His outs above average sit in the first percentile. His arm strength ranks in the 36th percentile. And those numbers simply don't cut it in modern baseball, where shortstop defense has become non-negotiable. Teams want athletic, rangy defenders at that position who can make plays consistently, and Bo's skill set just doesn't match that profile. So while his bat absolutely plays, his glove at shortstop created a ceiling on his market value that was becoming impossible to ignore. But second base? That's a completely different equation. His arm strength works better there, his range concerns matter less, and suddenly teams can focus on what he does well rather than worrying about defensive liabilities. And when you look around baseball right now, there are way more teams searching for second basemen than shortstops. Most organizations already have their guy at short locked down. Second base, though, that's where holes exist across the league, and that's where Bo can suddenly become a premium option instead of a question mark. According to Mark Feinsand's reporting, far more clubs are looking at Bo for help at second base than shortstop, and his willingness to switch positions should bring significantly more teams into the mix. That's not speculation. That's the market reality changing in real time. The Dodgers need infield help. The Red Sox are looking. The Giants, Mariners, and Rangers all have second base openings. And those are just the teams getting mentioned publicly. Once word spreads that Bo's willing to make this move, you can bet more organizations start running the numbers on what it would cost to bring him in. Here's where it gets interesting for Toronto. The Blue Jays have been patient, waiting to see how the Kyle Tucker situation develops before making their next move. That strategy made sense when Bo's market felt limited and they had time to circle back if Tucker went elsewhere. But now Bo's market is about to explode with new interest, and Toronto might not have the luxury of waiting anymore. If multiple teams start bidding, Bo's price tag climbs. If a bidding war develops, suddenly the cost to bring him back becomes significantly higher than it would have been a month ago. Think about this from Bo's perspective. He doesn't have to sit around waiting for Toronto to finish their Tucker pursuit anymore. If another team comes in with a competitive offer right now, why would he wait? The leverage just shifted completely. Toronto was operating under the assumption that Bo would be their fallback plan if Tucker signed elsewhere. But that assumption only works if Bo's still available when they're ready to pivot. And based on how this market is developing, that's far from guaranteed. Let's talk about Kyle Tucker for a second, because that timeline matters here too. Jeff Passan reported that Tucker can afford to be patient because he's still the top free agent available. He's not in a rush. He can take his time evaluating offers, waiting for the perfect situation, and there's no pressure forcing his hand. That's great if you're Kyle Tucker. It's nerve-wracking if you're Toronto trying to balance two different pursuits at once. Because every day Tucker takes to decide is another day Bo's market develops without the Blue Jays being fully engaged. Now, I know some fans are worried that Toronto is putting all their eggs in the Tucker basket and risking losing both players. That concern is valid of player. You have to take that swing, even if it means risk. Think of it like playing poker when you're holding pocket kings. You're the favorite in that hand. The odds say you should go all in, even though you could still lose. Walking away from that opportunity because you're scared of losing would be the wrong play strategically. Toronto is in the best position to land Tucker based on everything we know. Tampa, connection, roster fit, competitive window alignment. It would be irresponsible not to pursue that aggressively just because there's risk involved. But that doesn't mean you ignore Bo completely. Toronto should still be having conversations with his camp, still exchanging numbers, still showing interest. The key is not letting Tucker's timeline completely dictate the Bo situation. Because if Bo signs elsewhere while Toronto is waiting on Tucker, and then Tucker chooses another team, that's when things get ugly. That's the nightmare scenario where you miss on both and have to scramble for alternatives that don't move the needle nearly as much. Before we keep going, hit that like button if you think Toronto should prioritize Tucker, or drop a comment if you believe bringing back Bo should be the main focus right now. Here's another wrinkle worth considering. Just because Bo is willing to play second base doesn't automatically mean teams will pay him like a premium shortstop. Market value adjusts based on position, and second basemen typically command less money than shortstops, even if the bat is identical. So while Bo's market might expand in terms of number of interested teams, the actual dollar figures he receives could still fall short of what he and his camp were hoping for. That could lead to a shorter-term deal with opt-outs, similar to what Cody Bellinger and Alex Bregman have done, where he bets on himself for 1 or 2 years and tries free agency again when the market might be stronger. If that's the route Bo takes, Toronto absolutely should be in those conversations. A short-term deal with opt-outs gives the Blue Jays flexibility to still pursue Tucker while keeping Bo in the fold. It's not the long-term commitment some fans want, but it keeps a core player in Toronto and buys time to see how the roster develops. And honestly, given where the market sits right now, that might be the most realistic outcome anyway. The Yankees are another team nobody's really talking about yet, but they absolutely make sense as a landing spot. They need infield help. Bo's bat would play perfectly in that lineup. Putting him at second base solves their defensive concerns. And New York has never been shy about spending when they identify a target. That's not a fun scenario for Blue Jays fans to think about, but it's absolutely plausible if Toronto doesn't act with some urgency here. Bottom line, this position flexibility announcement changes everything. Bo's market was stagnant when he was marketing himself strictly as a shortstop. Now it's about to blow wide open with new teams entering the mix and competition driving up his value. Toronto needs to balance their Tucker pursuit with the reality that Bo might not wait around, and if they lose both players because they were too focused on one, that's a disaster scenario that sets the franchise back significantly. So what's your take, Blue Jays Nation? Should Toronto prioritize locking down Tucker, even if it means risking Bo walking? Or should they pivot, focus, and make sure they keep their homegrown star in the fold? Get in the comments and let me know where you stand. Like this video if you want more Blue Jays free agency coverage. Subscribe so you catch every update as this situation develops. And turn on those notifications because things are moving fast. Decisions are getting made, and the next 2 weeks could define Toronto's entire competitive window for the next 5 years.